In the beginning, the earth was nothing but a solid rock, and the four magical brothers, Sky, Fuego, Hydrus, and Terra, were in possession of its ruling. One day, the powers of the brothers were spontaneously activated, and each took their throne ruling a separate element. Sky, the sky and wind; Fuego, the fire; Hydrus, the waters of the earth; and Terra, the soils. For 7 days, the four newly ruling gods worked intensely to transform the earth as what we now see it as. Stepping back and admiring their work, the gods were in awe of their individual masterpieces. Then Sky spoke. "If we are capable of constructing these on our own, brothers, imagine what we could make united." The four gods combined their powers and together made man himself. These men and women lived their lives with a belief system that revolved around four ideas. Treat all creations with compassion, no hunting for sport, work for the entirety of the people, not yourself. Every 6 months, a goat is to be offered to the gods for the prosperity and growth of the people.
The people were a democracy. Both men and women over the age of 15 could vote on all major choices made. The group would not move forward unless the majority of the group agreed, even if it was the best choice for the group. The people were led by a man and woman, who were voted on by them. The two leaders, known as the chief and chiefstress, would give equal representation to both genders. Their term ended after 2 years.
Surrounded by grasslands, the people of the Central Plains took advantage of the plentiful grasses and herded small animals like goats for a living. Because grass was the only available form of a crop, the civilization relied heavily on their animals for food, which meant they had to constantly move around to find grazing lands to ensure their animals maintained good health.
They utilized woven ropes and cages to contain the animals and cookware to prepare the food. They believe in utilizing their slain animals to their full potential instead of trashing what cannot be consumed, so therefore metal and woodwork is not appealing to them. Those who care for the animals help sustain the community. The chiefs, leather master, map makers, herders, and the women of the civilization would hold the most important positions. Unlike sedentary societies, women and pastoral groups participate in caring for the animals. They are not homebound, nor are they strictly used for reproduction or housework. The labor produced by women is equivalent to the labor produced by men.
The Plains people around the year 2000 BC started migrating south as the seasons changed. Every year their animals would graze on fresh grass until there was no more grass to eat. These ancient peoples were spoken to by the great god Sky, whose wind patterns pointed south towards the warm Gulf of Mexico. In search of food and water, the Plains people migrated south over hundreds of years until they reached the warm, fertile area of Mesoamerica. Migration caused the Plains people to move southwards toward the Aztec peoples of ancient Mexico. The architecture and artistic development of the Plains people's civilizations is moderately advanced for this ancient era. They have a traveling temple for the sky god Sky, one of the greater gods. Also, they have tiny clay art sculptures of the sky god Sky, the fire god Fuego, the earth god Terra, and the water god Hydrus. The writing system used by the Plains people is basic. They use sticks to write lines in trees and the ground as a temporary system to keep track of animals and people. Also, they have beads to keep track of the seasons and rotations of food distributions. The Plains people have a festival every rainy season where all the kids and elders get together and celebrate prosperity and hope. They cut crop circles for entertainment and run around in them every rotation.
Once the Plains people had merged with the Aztecs, many changes were made to them culturally. The biggest change was that they became less nomadic and more agricultural.
Instead of sacrificing a goat, the people would now have to sacrifice one of their own kind in order to keep away some of the unpleasant gods that the Aztecs also believed in. Instead of Sky being their primary god, the civilization now believed the sun god was most important. The people could now abandon their dependency on small animals and instead rely on the Aztecs' advanced form of agriculture.
Their system of government shifted from free voting to the people being split up into groups with a ruler over each one. The Aztecs also introduced them to different art styles and new technology.
A civilization, as represented by the Plains people, is a group of people who work together for the success of their beliefs. To be civilized is to be peacefully accomplishing the goals of the entirety of the people. A civilization may remain static or vice versa, depending on its main source of food. Agricultural societies depend on growing crops, so it is essential that they are static. while pastoral societies depend on their animals, which could mean they constantly have to move in order for their animals to be able to graze. Religion is one of the key beliefs in a civilization. It determines one of the major commonalities that is shared between the people, allowing them to relate to one another easier, and in turn, making it easier for them all to work together towards the same objective. Civilizations are created as a necessity of order between groups of people who all share the same hopes.